Hello, good afternoon, good morning, and good day. This is Tina Marie, and I am with you again. And I am so happy to be sharing this time and space and introducing you to someone I'm a bit of a fan of and stalking. And whenever I heard him speak this last year, I'm like, this dude needs to be on the Light Your Life podcast. Dr. Steve Judson, I want to tell you about him. He is the producer and the voice behind Wake Up Humans. It's a podcast. You're going to go find it and you're going to follow and you're going to educate yourself and become one of the people that are awake in our lifetimes, because we deserve that. We deserve that for ourselves. We deserve that for our families. Dr. Steve Judson, he helps men, women, children, people all over the planet to do that very thing. Wake up, live and discover your destiny, live that passionate self that's always been burning within you, and bring it more to bear in your life before we do that thing that's called check out whenever our last breath happens. You deserve this. He's spoken all over the world, and his message goes far. To Russia, Central America, the Dominican Republic, you will find Dr. Steve sharing this message. He's a new author of a brand new book. He's already published 2, and now we're also going to be talking about his latest that just published last week, and it's called The Backpack. So we're going to be diving into that. Why are you listening to this podcast today? Because you know there's more in life for you, and you know that somewhere there has to be something in the way, and you're going to learn today something that we are not taught regularly in our schools, in our awareness as humans. And whenever I learned about what Dr. Steve's going to talk about today, I was in my 30s, and I'm like, why do people not know about this? So you're going to get the chance to wake up and spread this message to the people you know and love even more. Dr. Steve, thank you so much for being our guest here on Light Your Life today.
It's my absolute pleasure. Thank you for having me. And that was a beautiful intro. I appreciate it.
Thank you. When I heard you speak at Mile High, which is hosted by Dr. Daniel and Rochelle Knowles in the Boulder area in Denver, Colorado, you lit the room on fire. If I could have been standing the whole time, I'm like, the energy that you created or helped us all create was more than palpable. It's like there was a different energy that came down and became a vortex in that room and said, listen to what he's saying. And sometimes we listen with what we think are our ears and our mind. But Dr. Steve, what you impassioned in all of us was we were listening with our souls that night. Wow. And so I want us to feel that today, and spread this message to the people that are listening and the people that know that there's more in our life, but we get stuck, don't we? We get stuck.
Right.
As humans. Right. What is it? I mean, you've been spreading this message for a long time.
Well, it's so simple that people miss it. And it's really just from within. You know, we're always looking outside of ourselves for the answer. And in my soul of souls, I know God gave us all the answers we need if we just listen to within. So the primary thing, you know, people are always talking about the mind, body, spirit, and they're always working on the mind, and they're studying and reading books and trying to find the next best answer.
Right.
Instead of working on the spirit first. If your spirit is clear, your mind is just going to envelop all the positive in the world. And you're not going to be following the world. You'll be in the world, but not of the world. And to me, that really starts with our neurology, because your neurology is what controls your outcome. And our society is walking around static. You know, if your cell phone was staticky all the time, you would find a solution to it. If your bars weren't connected, people would be out of their mind if they couldn't connect to their source of entertainment, of social media and their friendships, etc. You know, they would change companies. Well, if your brain is not connected and your central nervous system disconnected, your internal environment, your vibration is just not communicating on a level that is coherent to a positive life. And that's where I came up with the term with how's your atlas. And if the world could understand that one term and start from a place of getting clear within, you then could connect to your emotions and your past and allow a space for healing. To me, that's where the magic happens.
I love that. And so what I failed to mention is that you are a doctor of chiropractic.
Right.
And that is profound. And I think chiropractic has gotten a bad rap. And
Yeah.
so I'd like to go back to the root of this conversation, because I really want us to hold this and honor this and form a container so the awareness that's being enlightened here today can have definite respect, right? Definite respect. So the root of the conversation is that people do not know what chiropractic really is. I'm grateful to be married to a chiropractor, and my story real quick, I didn't know about it. I mean, I'm a new mom back in 1993. My son, I didn't know, but through the birth, he had some major issues. He came out not eating, not latching on, and then when he did, when they give him water, he would vomit. He would just like it all come up. Whenever he was breastfeeding, he would just vomit, projectile vomit. I mean, he and Linda Blair would have gone head to head. Like it was really disturbing as a mom to go, this little guy is not thriving. Something's ultimately wrong. I'm taking him to medical doctors after medical doctors. Nobody can figure out what's going on. He's crying his little heart out. And I didn't know. I didn't know anything but a model that I had been raised into. And nobody told me about the Atlas. Nobody told me about chiropractic. Nobody told me about subluxation. Nobody informed me. So I did not have the education to be able to even make different decisions for my son.
Right.
So why, and by the way, I found chiropractic. He's thriving, and now he's 28 years old. So things went right. So, and he gets adjusted all the time. My family believes in chiropractic because they understand it. Why do people give chiropractic a bad rap? Why do they not understand? Can we start there?
Well, I think the biggest thing with chiropractors is the majority get into it to help people and to serve humanity.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get out into business. And that becomes a different game, because now you've got to really educate people. And that's challenging when, you've got chiropractic 126 years. And in my book, we haven't done a good job at educating people. So, people go to I would love to have a conversation with Joe Rogan, because people get all over Joe Rogan because he had a negative experience with a chiropractor and he just kind of viewed his opinion. Well, he's probably right. What was done to him probably wasn't even in chiropractic. So to me, it's just people need to have a conversation. We're in a place, society, if I get it, but it's not about your belief system. And if we could have the right conversation, if you never had your baby adjusted, what would that child look like now? And I've got thousands of those stories. And this is why, when I wrote the book, I got sick and tired of people thinking chiropractic was just about back pain and car accidents, because it's so much more about that. It's about human potential. And when moms learn that, they're on fire. I mean, my practice has been 100% referral for 20 years. They're coming in all the time because they're just telling people in the community. So we just have to engage in a conversation. It's not to knock what other chiropractors did, but it's empowering the future chiropractors to, one, I think they should all be giving Wake Up Humans to their patients. Now, that's a lot for me to say, because I don't like to sell and put myself on a pedestal, which I'm not. No. But I've seen the ones that are doing it, and people read the book and it takes them 2-3 days to read it. They go, oh my gosh, I get it. Mm-hmm. So it simplifies it. And when you simplify it and people say, I get it, and now they experience it, they wake up, their worlds change.
Across the board. I mean, so this isn't, like you said, this isn't about back pain, headaches, even migraines. It's not about the low back pain or, I just feel like my neck's stiff. Yes. And
right.
This is the divine essence that we've all been born with. It came with us whenever we came through the birth canal. It's not leaving us. Yet there's things within the human system that turn it off on purpose or mitigate it, like a frequency mitigator, if we can, make ourselves like an energy conduit, which we all are. Right. And so there's an intelligence working with us all the time. And you help people understand, Dr. Steve, you help them understand about the Atlas. Let's talk about the Atlas and what it is and why it's so important to understand its effect between the brain and the body connection and the soul.
Yeah. So your Atlas is the first bone in your neck that protects what's called the brain stem. Mm-hmm. The brain stem is the junction where every single nerve in your body starts, whether it's going to your big toe, heart, liver, kidneys, immune system, glands. It governs, it's the master control system of the human body. It's what helps you adapt. And if it's disconnected, you're in trouble. So the atlas is a little tiny ring that protects it. And if that ring misaligns and torques and inflammation and pressure develops there, we call that a subluxation in chiropractic, then those messages to and from wherever they're going are disconnected. It's like a static cell phone. When I talk to little kids, the message will get there, but not as connected, and things start to go wrong. And then people wake up with symptoms, and symptoms are a beautiful thing. It's your body talking to you and saying, hello, there's an issue here. You know, we're designed in society. If you have a symptom, what do? You shut the
medicate
symptom
it. You
off.
try to shut it down.
Yeah. And I think people are realizing, especially now,
Right.
how we've been manipulated, right? If you're living on drugs, you're heading down a dark road, because we're seeing now how we have been manipulated by the system to believe in a system that's killing us.
Right.
So people now will wake
and
up.
It's all for the dollar. It's all for the mighty
It's all
buck.
money. It's big money, you know, and now I think what's going on in society is probably one of the best things that ever happened to us, because people now are saying, I better take better control of my life, and I better change my lifestyle so I'm healthier, so my kids aren't standing over a casket of a dead father at 45 years old. So, hey,
And
Dad,
worse,
wake up.
Exactly. And worse than that we stand over the caskets of our kids.
Oh, and that's
because
insane.
There's so much subluxation that's happening in our kiddos. We see it every day here in the practice.
Yeah.
And, you know, just on devices, and now VRs come into play. I was talking to one of my friends, Peter Shankman. His daughter uses the Oculus, and he's saying she's always got headaches. I'm like, dude, take her to Louis Abate there in New York. You need to get her to a great chiropractor, because she's putting pressure on her, you know, head that's adding that weight, and it's causing complete stress on her neck and back. So,
you know, you asked the question, you know, we're asking the question because it's what the hurdle we have to get over. And I've done this, you know, I've been in situations where I'm standing there with neurosurgeons and orthopedics, and, you know, I love getting people to talk about themselves, because they're going to turn to me and say, hey, what do you do? Mm-hmm. Right. And I say, I'm a brainstem specialist. I'm like, wow, that's awesome. What is that? And I start talking about the atlas and the brainstem and pressure on it, and I remove it. And they say, well, how do you remove it? And I say, through an adjustment. And they go, you're a chiropractor. And I say, I got you, because now you just listened to me. You agreed with me, and you didn't, the word chiropractic did not come into play. And they said, that's brilliant. And what you said makes perfect sense. So what happens in our neurology is we're built stigmas. We stigmatize people and put a belief system in their head. So they hear a word. Sometimes now they shut down and they're not listening anymore. The conversation has to turn into, guys, can we agree that, listen, I'm sure there's been bad chiropractors, bad representation, bad things have happened. It's like you go to a bad restaurant, get food poisoning, you don't stop going out to restaurants. Like, we have to just change the dialogue to people that live under regular chiropractic care, their life is just better. I've got 5 kids, their life is amazing. My kids have never had a drug in their body unless if they needed surgery and they had anesthesia. And my girls had their wisdom teeth pulled out and they did not take pain medication, which was insane to me, but they said, Dad, we don't want to take the drugs. I'm like, you got it.
It's a choice. It's a choice.
They had a choice. They made it. I stood by their side. We were up with them at night because they were miserable in the middle of the night. I would adjust them. My wife would give them some natural stuff. And by day 2, they were totally awesome. And the doctor was like, that was incredible, because he gave the whole opioid talk. He started giving the opioid talk. And my daughter's like, don't worry about us. And he's like, no. The nurse was laughing at them like, you're going to need it. And my girls were like, no.
Wow.
And they didn't. Wow. And they couldn't believe it in this doctor's office. And they actually hugged them and said, you girls are awesome, because they had a mindset that my body can do this. Yes, I'm going to suffer a little bit, but I have to breathe, and I could, and just work myself through it, through this system, and trust my body's wisdom, which is what they did, you know, and it happened. So now I don't, you know, by the grace of God, and I still don't have to worry about my kid running off and doing dope because they have a tough day at school. Right. You know, to me, it runs deeper. It's like, what systems are you going to set up in your household for your kids to have a better life? And mom and dad, you better lead the way. Otherwise, you're creating an absolute shit show in the future.
Right. And, you know, hypocrisy. We don't want to live with that. And so what was another wake up humans, right, is that the doctor saw the evidence of something outside of the programming that they'd already been speaking to for everybody that comes to the practice.
Yeah.
So I love Goethe. One of his, a philosopher, one of his quotes is that there comes a time in a man's life where he needs to question absolutely everything. And what I love about that is that, yes, we need to get to a place in our life where we humble ourselves. I may not know something, or that which I already believe I know may not be true. And it can be absolutely painful, especially to the ego or that part of ourselves that think we have some type of significance based on who we are and our identity. But the beautiful thing about it is that we become something that we didn't even know we were capable of when we relax into the possibility of not knowing, and that the strength of our identity is not in what we do know, but more in what we avail ourselves to what we do not know so that we can grow.
Brilliant.
And your books bring that to our awareness. Thank you
Right.
so much for writing them. Thank you so much for having your podcast. So we are talking with the amazing Dr. Steve Judson, and he's a chiropractor. He's written 3 books. I want you to go find them on Amazon. Wake Up Humans, most recently The Backpack, and there was a third one,
Atlas Adjusted.
Atlas Adjusted. So these are must-read books for your education of who you are as a human being on our planet. Let's dive into the backpack. Or actually, I don't want to be in the backpack. The backpack is all the stuff that we're carrying around that is creating this disturbance in our life and these lower emotions and the filters that we've been speaking about. So this just published last week. Tell us about the new book.
Let me tell you, I'm really excited about this book. Like, people that have already gotten it, before 2 chapters, they're messaging me on, social media, how it's changing their life. And just when you said the backpack, I got goosebumps because, it really is going to, the people that are going to read it, it's going to open them up. In all my years of working with thousands of patients and people, and, it's when people start getting clear from within, pain and hurt gets exposed. And we're designed through our systems to bury that instead of put it. And I always envision it as a rock in a backpack that you've been carrying through life. And now we go, this is what's been slowing down your success, your progress, your happiness, your love. And it may be fear, anger, whatever it is, there's always an experience that created that weight. And I was raised tough Irish. My mom said, just get over it, get over it, get over it. And I got over a lot of stuff, but I woke up at 30 years old realizing I had a lot of stuff. And if I wanted to grow and become a healer and have success in life, I couldn't be carrying stuff. So I had to work on me to heal from tragedy and trauma and stuff. And as I started working with patients, they all had the same story. When they started waking up, they realized there was this but. And when we put the but on a shelf and we address it and we heal and we look it in the eye, we change the vibration from within us. And you never get rid of it. You never get over it. It's always there, but
Right.
You own it and you're putting it on the shelf. And when it pops up, you could turn and look at it and say, I see you, but I'm not going there. You're not triggering me into this old habit. I'm a different person now. I love you. Thank you for teaching me, but I'm running forward because I'm pretty light right now. My backpack is light. So if we can realize in this, and I love dealing with men, especially, tough, when they realize it's okay to have a weakness and let's make it better because now you're a better husband, a better father, your kids are looking how you behave and work. And now you're able to set up a system in your life that's easier to follow because you can't be derailed through triggers.
Right. That's awesome. And triggers are all personal. I mean, sometimes we have that outward belief that I'm triggered because of you, and it's like a blaming game of taking our power and giving it to another person for the effects in our life. Right. But triggers are personal. We get
a lot of times someone's going to trigger you is because you see something in them that is really you. And they're just turning the light on you. And then we repel them. We push them away. They say, when someone will say, listen, I don't know if you're going to like what I have to say, but I'm going to say it anyway. And now you're, whoa. And me and my wife's brilliant. She created a system in our relationship where we don't really do it anymore because I've listened instead of fighting her. Like, you can't change me. And who do you think you are? I'm like, this is my woman. Like, you're going to be with me the rest of my life. She would say, hey, from a friend's perspective, which, okay, here it comes.
Yeah.
When you do this, it upsets me, or I need you to do more of this. And I would go, okay. Cause a lot of times we could talk to our friends a lot more blunt and easy and you go, I got you, whatever. But when you start getting into intimate relationships, it's like, well, and you get the dudes, oh, my wife's a pain in the ass and this and that. I'm like, well, that's your wife. She birthed the kids. You got to nurture that thing, man. And that's some of the toughest work in your life. And to me, dealing with these patients over the years, I get these guys come in and my wife made me come in. I'm like, yeah, because she loves you. What's wrong with love? Don't be a tough guy with me. Uncross your arms. And they got, and I said, look, for 6 months, I want you to come in and get adjusted. You can't talk to me. You can't ask me a question. You can't tell me how awesome. You come in, lay on the table. And if 6 months, if something in your life hasn't changed, you quit on yourself. You're done.
Mm-hmm.
Within 2 weeks, they're like, can I say something? I'm like, no. Can I say something? And then I'm like, yes. They're like, you were right. You're right.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, now be ready, because you're going to realize the things that you could work on and make yourself a better man. Listen to it, because it's going to come from here, not from here. And you could open it. And I just spoke at a conference this weekend called Dynamic Essentials. And my wife, Tammy, will always throw me a word or something before I go on to kind of trigger my brain.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, how to lose friends and influence people.
Mm-hmm.
Brilliant.
I love it. How to lose friends. Little twist there, right? You guys didn't hear that?
Because there's some people in your life, you just got to, lovingly put them on an air balloon and let them float away.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to get to where you're going. And when you start to wake up, you're going to realize, who have I been allowing into my space to fuel my spirit or deplete it?
Right.
And if they're not fueling my growth, and over the years, my tribe of friends, the conversation, I just got off a conversation with one of my best friends, Brian Lieberman.
Mm-hmm. I love Brian. He's cool.
20 minutes of just, I just wanted to thank him for being there for me. And it was just great. I was just grateful, and I wanted to share it. And, people look at me as like this big gorilla of a guy. I'm like, I've had to be sincere, learn how to be grateful and let people know, but how people around me have really helped me do what I got to do and step into the role that I've had to.
Let's talk about that and dive into that. I felt some energy there. Definitely. I have found for myself that gratitude, truly express gratitude, not just having a gratitude list. I mean, that's a first step. It's like baby steps, going and having a gratitude list. Cool. And you're not done. I take that gratitude list. I take the people that are appearing on my gratitude list or the things that are appearing on my gratitude list, and I either write them a letter or I give them a phone call or I make an arrangement to have a lunch or dinner or something with them. Let's go into the absolute energy and aliveness that happens through what you've experienced, Dr. Steve, of gratitude.
So one of the biggest things when we start looking at, let's call it the bad stuff that's happened to us, through us, whatever, and we label it with fear, anger, anxiety, depression. Well, it's one thing to address it, but what are you replacing it with? Mm-hmm. And to me, it's love is the greatest energy. That's something I really had to step back and learn about, was love, because I was, you get a dog and the thing dies on your lap. I've had dogs die. I'm like, why am I going to get another dog just for it to die? You date a girl, it doesn't work out, you break up, you hurt. Why am I going to go through this? I might as well just be, but no, it's love. And it's in a meditation, it came to me, it's life's only vital energy. It is the greatest vital energy. But what feeds into love? Gratitude is like the number one energy that's going to fuel that fire. And with gratitude, it's one of the greatest things we could be grateful for that I had to learn is people that I perceived hurt me or did something that was not congruent with my belief system. But what they did was allow me to experience that and see that and realize the person I don't want to be, what I don't want to do to other people, and how do I do it better? And I'm grateful for that. So it's grateful for people doing stuff for us that make us feel good. But it's learning to be grateful for the stressors and the things that don't go well, and realizing that's part of the lesson. And that's also part of exercising our stamina to grow and be stronger and learn, and to shed the husks, remove the backpack rocks, so we could be more grateful and more loving, which is going to help us serve humanity and help more people through that process.
I love it. I love it. That's one of my mentors called the sword, the double-edged sword of gratitude. You spoke to it. We have to be grateful for that which we love and grateful for that which is against it as well, as it creates that double edge of the sword so it can actually grow us, right?
Yeah.
It's so beautiful. And so let's dive into that. The world today, there's so many, polarities of right and wrong, people getting offended. I'd love to circle it back. How does chiropractic care help all of that? What happens with a human being whenever we notice I'm being a bit of an asshole, or I'm being a bit of a complainer, I'm being pissed off, or sometimes we just hold it all in our mind and we radiate it like a porcupine with our prickles up, right? Or we're not reaching our dreams. Like, I want you to take a note right now, mental note, everybody. I want you to listen to episode 233. 33 is my favorite number. 233 of Dr. Steve's podcast, Wake Up Humans. Go, it's the latest one right now. You're going to go listen to it. The reason why is he tells you all the stuff that just you're silently and in your own mind suffering with, and how chiropractic is in alignment, no pun intended, for what you need right now. So can we just dive right into that? I want to wake people up of something that we have not been schooled with, something we've been maybe on the fringes of, but to really dive into what chiropractic and returning you to your essence really means.
You know, it's funny when we use words like energy, essence, vibration. I think these words can get some people to go, oh, this is like the voodoo crystal stuff, and you're like, you know, you guys are weird.
Yeah.
And I used to be one of those guys. You know, I used to be like, oh, yeah, what are you gonna do? Put like, you know, whatever. But
crystals.
And it hit me because, you know, I used to be a bouncer in a tough bar in the Bronx, and it was one of those things that you had to become a different person when you showed up to that energy. So I'll tell people, if I take you to church on Sunday or to a music festival where they're playing country music, banjo music, you're happy, you feel good, vibration's good. But then I take you up the road to a tough biker bar or something. How are you going to feel? What's your posture going to be like? What's your energy going to be?
Right.
And they get it. They say, I get it. I said, energy is that essence, that feeling inside of you that's flowing through you. And there's a great book out there, Hidden Molecules of Water. And this medical doctor did a study with water molecules under a microscope, and he would play classical music, or he would read a loving poem, and how the molecules would change and be bright. And then he would play like crazy music, or he would yell and curse and create anger, and those molecules would get rigid and sharp and darker. Pure science, right? Pure
science.
Expression.
Mm-hmm.
80 to 90% of your body, depending on who you read, is water.
Right.
So that's energy affecting your body and the cells in your body. And that's all governed through your central nervous system, is what's dictating how you're going to adapt or not adapt to that energy, vibration, that outside stressor, whatever word you want to put on it. So if your nervous system is not functioning to its fullest potential, it's staticky, you have a subluxation of the atlas, putting pressure on 450 million nerve fibers or 10 nerve fibers, depending on what that nerve root is controlling, is going to affect your outcome for better or for worse. And if your body's not prepared to handle whatever's coming at you, it could break you down. If your body's internally prepared, it could build you up. It's very simple. And your systems, we take care of our digestive systems, our skin systems, our hair systems. We're nurturing ourselves. And I tell people, if your spine was on your face, you would take better care of it. People don't see it. They think it's good. They wake up. They have a ton of symptoms. Their body's talking to them. They've been to 15 doctors. They come to us. We take an x-ray, go, your atlas is rotated to the right. This is what's causing your problem. We start adjusting it, clear it. Within 4 months, their whole life is different. Never fails. It's like gravity. You drop the keys. It works every single time, right? Okay. But our belief systems get in the way, and our fear gets in the way. And this is part of where the chiropractic profession can do better, is managing people's fears by understanding them and listening to them. If they're scared, they're going on TikTok and these things and watching people get their necks yanked on and pulled and twisted. And they're like, I'm not getting that done.
Right.
I don't blame them. That's
right.
Not in my world. I'm not going to take the housewife at home who's crying, sensitive, and just rip her neck. No. It could be very gentle, specific, and gentle. Yes. People go, oh my gosh, that's it. I've had people on my tables, grown men crying, guys that were snipers in the Army, nervous. You know, they're face down or on their side. They're vulnerable. They're not used to that. I said, man, I got you. You're safe with me. And we adjust them. We adjust them gently because they don't want to be like aggressive. And they come back and they're like, I slept like a baby. Whatever you did opened something up. I feel clear. I'm like, you're awoke.
Yeah.
And I met them where they're at.
And then there are those people that do want to have the aggression. It's kind of interesting. They think the aggression, you know, it's like matching the force of the amount of pain in their life. They think that it requires a lot more pain to undo that pain they're experiencing, which is not the case.
Yeah. I mean, listen, we have 3 styles of adjusting, where it's deep, medium, or very, very light. And I got to figure that out for every single person. And you could start out light and move your way up. Or if you feel it's too deep in the beginning and you just feel like you get nervous, we say communicate. We'll step it back, because time is our, you know, you talked about 33 being your favorite number, the 33 principles of chiropractic. Principle number 6 is time. We have time. We don't have to rush this. Healing takes time.
Yeah.
So we just got to, it's all communication. where is this person's vibration? Where's their energy? And what do we have to do to meet them where they're at and then get the results, which means their life changes. They wake up, they start healing. And now we start dealing with their backpack, right? And if their backpack is really dark and dim and they need some, counseling or connection with people and talk it out or talking it out with you, that's the next level.
Yeah. And we are all here to grow.
Hopefully.
And there's not, like it or not, we're here to grow.
You got to allow it, right?
Yeah. Well, if you don't allow it, you're growing in a painful way.
That's it.
Change is happening, whether or not you are in receptivity of it or resistance of it. It's happening.
Right,
you can't stop it. Like boulder coming down the mountain. It's happening. It's how we're going to be. How are we going to be with that? And
I think that's a good point, because we talk about where we are in society today.
Yeah.
One of the things that I've had to learn is that there are some people that are just going to go down with the ship. I've seen a lot of people that have been exposed, and I'm like, wow, these people have been living around me this entire time, and their anger and whatever in their way, and it's just their minimalist mindset. There's not going to be much of a conversation with them. So where am I going to focus my energy? And I got to love them anyway, because maybe someday they'll be open to it. But I've had interactions with certain people. I had to make a clear choice to just walk away lovingly and let them be, and then not judge them. I think we've been divided to judge, which is just bad, where we just say, let's just grow the tribe of like-minded people. And how do we communicate better to bring more people to health, healing, and love is the ultimate goal, because this is the greatest thing that's happening in the world right now, is the exposure of the systems that are happening. Well, how are we going to replace it and help people heal and thrive through it?
I've said multiple times that I'm extremely grateful for the pandemic. I mean, and I'm not saying that for the people that have lost their lives at all, or the people that remain here after they've lost a loved one. Now, I've lost over a handful of people here during the pandemic in that way. It's that every pain or trauma or tragedy the human experience holds on the other side of it an amazing awakening.
Yes.
And if we go into it, like you said, Dr. Steve, with the love, with the awareness, with the curiosity, with the wonder, that there's an intelligence utilizing us and this, then we will not feel the pain through it. We'll feel the freedom in it.
Amen.
And humanity is being woken up. You don't even need to wake up. It's happening. We can't stop it. You reminded me of a saying that I tell my clients every now and then. It's like, I don't need to be wrong in order for you to be right. And so that's where judgment comes. The base essence of judgment is that the polarity, in order for me to be right, somebody else has to be wrong. No, for you to have your truth, it doesn't mean that anybody else has to have the same truth or an alter truth for your truth to have any meaning.
Amen.
So judgment is a virus of our human
your
experience.
gift is to be able to have that conversation with somebody, create a common ground, and now have further conversations to find out how something in your life experience can improve theirs. Completely. And once that starts happening, this is where conversations, if people shut you out and don't allow you into their world because you've obviously got this knowledge and this gift, and it may only take them so far, or it may take them farther than they ever expected, but it's releasing them from where they are standing. And life could always be better as long as we're moving forward. And that's the journey of life. I always imagine, what did God really put me on this planet to achieve? I will never know.
Till you're there again.
And I feel like someday when I die and go to heaven, he's going to put me in a big movie theater and say, hey, look, I'm going to show you 10 circumstances that if you did this other thing, this is where you would have been, which could have been that would have been awesome. Mm-hmm. My dream was to be a professional baseball player. I started getting looked at by teams in high school and I tore my shoulder. It was all over. I was devastated. Mm-hmm. And my kids will say to me, Dad, what if you became a professional baseball player? I said, you wouldn't be here today.
Right.
I'd be a totally different person. So I'm grateful for that. At the time, I wasn't grateful. I was sad. I was angry. I'm grateful for that because I never imagined all this.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful for that. So we just have to realize there's many people around us and with gifts, and you just have to communicate and talk to them. And you never know who that person is.
Never. Like see into people. There was this YouTube video I saw a long time ago. I don't even know how to find it again. And it was about a guy leaving his house in the morning and going about his morning ritual, backing up from the driveway. He almost misses a kid that's riding his bike and he gets mad at the kid for riding his bike across the driveway. Then he gets to a coffee shop and he's mad, just angry. And then he's gifted these glasses, and he puts these glasses on, and he's able to see into the minds and the souls and the hearts of these people around him, and see that, you know, someone had lost a mother recently and she's holding it all in, and a single mother with kids not knowing how to make her ends meet, a dad who's, you know, thinking he's going to get fired from his job. And so we get to see the real story behind the facade of what we see in people, just looking at them as a shell, right?
Right.
And I remember the impact that I had seeing that YouTube video. It changed my life forever.
Yeah.
Because now whenever I see people, I do my best in every moment I can to see into their soul and to create that level of safety and connection. Even if I'll never know their name, I bless them.
Right.
And one of my other mentors said that you're always either blessing someone or cursing them. Which one do you want to choose?
Right.
And your books, Dr. Steve, are amazing. I think everybody needs these on their shelves. You need to share these books with the world. And I didn't ask you, I wanted to ask you originally, what got you into chiropractic? You said you wanted to be a baseball player. What brought you to the chiropractic world?
You know, simply divine intervention. I mean, I was in college, and you know, when I lost my baseball world, I became an English major because it was easy. And I had
not everybody could say that, by the way, just saying. Everybody
had
can say.
opportunities. I had an offer to be a motivational speaker. A company was going to bring me in and train me. And then my father had Wall Street connections, and I just knew I didn't want that. And my parents were divorced. My mom was working part-time for a chiropractor, and she said, "You should be a chiropractor." I'm like, "Mom, I'm not smart enough. Like science, forget about it." And she would punch me in the chest. She had a big gold ring, and she would punch me in the chest and say, "You're going to be a chiropractor." So I said, let me check this out. So I interviewed or went out to lunch with like 5 different chiropractors. And there was one guy said, "Come hang out at the office." And I said, "I could see myself doing this." He was really cool, and kids were getting adjusted. I knew nothing about it. I think I'd been adjusted once or twice by some guy, the one that my mom was working for. But I felt something. So I went to my guidance counselor and I explained it to him, and he pulled my file out, my career development testing I did. And he said, you're not science oriented. You're not math. You'll fail. And I said, and then I'm like, "Now you got my Irish up." I said, "Well, I'm doing it." And he threw the file on my chest and said, "Get out of my office."
Seriously.
So long story short, I busted my butt. I mean, I failed physics and bio the first time. He said, "I told you so." And I said, "Well, I'm going to show you." And I just didn't sleep. I mean, I'd be working in the bar to like 3 a.m, 4 a.m. I'd go to the diner, eat, go back to school and study, take a 2-hour nap and study. And I passed. And I wanted to, you know, I wanted to get out of New York. I said, you know, I want to go somewhere where it's warm year round. And I went to Life College, which was the greatest thing that ever happened to me, because I went to Life and I walked into this conference first quarter of school called Dynamic Essentials, where I met Sid Williams and these great speakers that started just teaching me. And I realized this is different. And if I tell you the mentors that I became friends with by accident, right? And I put the quotes in the air because it's almost like God took me by the hand and said, "Here's your path, bro. Just follow it. Don't say no." And I just did it. I was just dumb. I just did exactly what I was told to do. I didn't watch TV for 6 years. I read, I studied, I learned, I unfolded, I put myself in it. And then I listen, I hardly slept in chiropractic school because I had to study a lot and I was working 2 jobs. And it really was like, how did I do this? Well, I didn't do it alone. And I felt like the Great Spirit had a mission for me,
Right.
and it just happened. And I woke up and I was like a caged lion when I got out in practice, and I had no money, no backing. Me and my wife had a baby, and we just did it. And our passion just blew it up because we were out to change the world and communicate with people. And my father always used to say, "How the heck did you do this?" And I said, "I prayed and meditated a lot." And he was a big Ivy League guy. He's like, "Well, come on, what about marketing?" I said, "No, Dad, this is what God wanted." And he's like, "That sounds crazy." I said, "It's crazy. I'm crazy.
Yeah.
I'm out of my mind to change people's lives, and I'm not stopping till the day I die." And now I realize that won't stop, because with all this digital media stuff, and this is what people need to understand, you have the potential to put stuff out there that'll be there forever. Your great-grandchildren will listen to your voice and learn. And that's my mission, is my great-grandchildren will Google me someday or Bloogle me, whatever's around then, and go, "My gosh, look at
Great granddad.
Look at him." Like, wow. And they're learning. And that's called legacy. Like, what's the legacy you're going to leave? And it should be to transform your future family and transform lives, because the more we do that and we guide them down a path of love and self-worth and taking care of yourself, so that expression is more powerful, what does the world look like then?
Right.
Now imagine these kids growing up to be presidents and senators and pharmacists and researchers, because we're going to need all that. But what decisions are they making for humanity at that time, and what story are they putting out?
We would love
100%.
that. We would love. So we get the choice. We get the choice to tell the story that is fear-based and painful for what the future of humanity is going to be, or we get to stand in right now to tell the story of how humanity is evolving, is becoming, is getting closer to its essence instead of further away.
And you know, you wake up and it's like, all right, I got 3 books. I've got 5 other book ideas. I went ahead and bought 10 of those IBNS numbers that you need to put on.
There you go. Yeah. ISBNs.
Because I've got all these ideas that we're going to do. Because what happened is I went all over the place speaking, and guys would say, but I'm not you. I don't have your passion. I haven't been through stuff like you. So it's hard for me to communicate. And I'm like, so I would try to help them do it. But at some point, you just got to realize your gift and not your gift and what you have. So I said, all right, just give this book to them.
There you go.
And now nurture them through it, because you're a loving, caring person. And you don't have, now they'll come to you with certain questions that you just have to answer the question. And to me, that's been the greatest gift, is seeing that happen. And the big thing for me is just removing my ego from the process, because it's not about me, and it never can be about us when you're serving others, because we're serving others. There's people that I get messages from that I've never met, will probably never meet. And I'm just so grateful. I said, you know, God, thank you. Like you were able to transform a life through me from a book. And I was never supposed to be here, but I'm here for a reason, because I was never supposed to be here. You're using me to reach them, to transform their life, to launch them to a place where they never thought they would be. Amen.
Amen. I feel that, and I honor that, and I bless that, and I send it out even further.
That's right.
Thank you so much. So what's next for Dr. Steve? You got the ISBNs. How can we support you in your mission and your passion? What would you love us to do?
Well, my 2022 has been, because I've been really kind of quiet. Like, I've got people that I hang out with. You know, I recently moved my whole family to Florida. You know, we moved down from Connecticut, and I'm commuting back and forth, and I'm meeting new people. And what happens is, you're with someone enough, they Google your name or they do something, and they're like, bro, you wrote these books, you did this. And I'm like, well, how come I don't speak it out? You know, and I think it's just because I'm just trying to be, I don't like to take attention to myself. Well, 2022, I'm saying the heck with that. I'm telling people, buy the book and put it in every chiropractor, or if I get a lot of chiropractors could put these books, you put Wake Up Humans in the backpack in your patient's hands, you're going to see a massive transformation, because I've seen it in about 100 offices who have transformed their entire office, their family, their whole life by people getting the story. So my whole thing is, I'm going to sell the story. And if that means they got to buy a case of books and give it out, then just do it. And to me, it's, you know, my mission is how do I do that better? Because I'm all about being humble, and I don't like to put myself above everyone and look at me and but they got to get the message. So I'm putting that out there 100%. The other thing we're doing is, you know, we're opening offices. You know, I'm taking these young chiropractors that we're going to train them up and teach them, you know, how to do our system and help them get in practice, help them get out of debt, help them thrive. So we're opening what's called Life Family Chiropractic offices. We've got 4 or 5 of them in Connecticut right now. We're going to open, I got a bunch of spots picked out in Florida. And the whole mission is to feed the mission. So my mission is to get people on the Wake Up Humans bandwagon, right? Because now we've got merchandise. If you go on wakeuphumans.org, because people ask me for t-shirts, sweatshirts, hats, all this stuff. So now we've got this whole monster that's developed. For me, what motivates me with that is because if I walk through the airport with a Wake Up Humans t-shirt, people say, whoa, what is that? I like that, especially what's going on now. And now I'm talking to them about their nervous system, their atlas, everything you and I spoke to, and they're crying saying, can you find me a chiropractor? And now I'm finding a chiropractor that I know is awesome in their area, and now they're getting adjusted. And now they message me on Instagram and say, wow, I ran into you 6 months ago in Bradley Airport, and my life has changed. And I cry. I go, thank you, God. Like, I appreciate it. You know, maybe they got a book for $20. They saw a t-shirt that was $15, and their whole life is different. So I'm all in on that. And how do we do that better? And that's the journey I'm on.
So join the mission.
Yeah.
Join the mission, join the journey. So we're going to wakeuphumans.org, right?
Correct.
Wakeuphumans.org. That's your first stop. Your second stop is Amazon.
Right.
Not the river, although I'd like to go. But we're going, it's more than a river nowadays. You're going to be Amazoning instead of Googling Dr. Steve Judson, Judson. And you're going to follow him because you can click that follow button and buy his books, read his books, digest his books, and share it, grace it to another person once you're done with it. Keep it flowing forward.
If people
What else?
If people wanted it in bulk, they just have to reach out to me, and I have a girl now who runs all that. We could get them.
I'm going to do that today. I'm going to get it in bulk. I'm always giving books away to my practice, to my.
We'll get it for you. I'll get it for you cheaper because I could get it, Michelle, to send it to you because I'm all about trying to hook people up.
Mhm.
So you don't want to buy 50 books from Amazon because it's going to cost you a lot more money than what Michelle could do for you. But I would appreciate that. And I think that's the outcome is let's get the books out there and just, I'm telling you, watch what happens. It's going to light people on fire.
Yeah, we all deserve it. This isn't like, it's not a have to. I mean, Eleanor Roosevelt said something that, she's a brilliant woman, right? But she said, if you can't, you must. So if we ever hear something that's against us or it feels like it's impossible, that means we have to go toward it even faster, further, more energy.
Powerful.
And what you're doing is you're giving us this energy, you're giving us this awareness, you're giving us this collective. I mean, we don't ever want to do our life alone. Now you've been initiated into something that is a passion, a mission, and it is of truth. It is of essence. It is of wisdom. And don't we all want to rally with that message? Thank you, Dr. Steve Judson. You are a beauty in our world. Thank you for listening to what guided you. Sometimes it takes us a little bit longer. I know for me, it took like bricks and stones and pieces of the I-10 freeway to get me to wake up. However, I really am so appreciative and grateful for you and your message. And of course, I'm a big fan and I'm always here for you.
Thank you very much. I greatly appreciate you and keep up the great work.
Thank you. And thank you, everybody, for listening to the Light Your Life podcast. What you will do now is, besides going and being an amazing fan of Dr. Steve Judson, is that you're going to take this episode and you're going to share it with 3 people. You're going to take the time to say, I think you would love this. Please listen, because it takes all of us together moving in the same direction of light and love to allow this human experience to be even more beautiful than we came in with. Thank you so much for being a fan. Thank you for sharing. And until next time, Tina Marie St.Cyr checking out with the Light Your Life podcast.